It is Barack Obama who corrupts the Justice Department. It is Hillary Clinton who routinely breaks the law and gets away with it. And now we have Joe Biden who's learned. He's learned from Obama that doesn't matter what you do, if you're a liberal Democrat, you will not be prosecuted. He learned from Hillary that a person in high public office can get millions and millions of dollars. And they learn from watching Donald Trump that a true outsider willing to take on the entire system could destroy their entire machine. So what you're seeing across the country is a desperate last-ditch effort by a corrupt machine to destroy their most dangerous opponent.
What you're witnessing is a continuation of the single greatest witch hunt of all time. These are ridiculous indictments, and all they're doing is hoping for massive election interference. Our enemies want to stop me because I am the only one who's going to be able to stop them. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. We have one chance to save it, and that chance is called 2024.
I really love our president as far as Donald Trump, and I am hoping strongly that he'll win, but the truth is no one really knows. But the polling, according to the Daily Mail, shows his favorability went up 6 points overnight. And this is after the charge. 27% say no change, already positive on his favorability. No change, already negative, 32%. More positive after the verdict, 22%. So went up, and then 16% more negative after the verdict. Now that's very interesting. So you have a 49 points for more positive or positive, and then you have a 49 to 48, 1 point up as far as negative to positive. So, but he went up 6 in his favorability ratings overnight. Guess what? There's a new polling number. You ready for this? Fox News, Bill Malugin, not polling, a brand new fundraising number. It's even higher. Remember I told you 39 million? It's not. Donald Trump raised more than 39 million. He raised, are you ready for this? $52.8 million in 24 hours. So that is 49, that's $13.8 million more, almost $14 million more than they first reported. So $52.8 million, that's $53 million in 24 hours. Isn't that amazing? $53 million in 24 hours. So that is more than $2 million an hour. Isn't that unbelievable? That's incredible. Wow. Okay, 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Do you think Trump's going to end up in jail? Do you think this bounce in polling for Trump is accurate? Will it increase more or go down? And do you think people are going to end up choosing their pocketbooks over Trump's conviction and his warts and all? Also, what do you think of when you saw Biden after that huge grin? Did you catch that huge crap-eating grin that he had? He was asked about whether or not I didn't pull the cut because of the fact that you can't hear him smiling. But a lady said, what do you think about, what is your response to Donald J. Trump saying he's a political prisoner? And he was walking away from the podium when that question came out. So he stopped and he turned and because he was walking away, slightly the opposite direction, kind of on an angle away from the press. So he stopped, pivoted towards the camera, cocked his head and smiled with this scary looking evil grin. And then he held it for a second or two. And then he turned back and he walked away with his head kind of down and just that creepy old man walk. It was really crazy and weird. Like, look at that. I did it. So he was mocked over that. Sage Steele, former ESPN reporter, said, honestly, I rarely use the word evil to describe another human being, but the editor for The Spectator said the President of the United States' disturbing reaction to being asked if Trump is a political prisoner and if he's responsible for the criminal conviction of Trump. This is really bad. Jason Miller, senior Trump campaign official. We follow each other on Twitter. He said, where was the senile fool shuffling off to? Caroline Leavitt, Trump spokesperson, said evil. Pure evil. So, Wesley Hunt, a congressman from Texas, said he's not even trying to hide it anymore. Biden's grin is all American voters need to see. Elise Stefanik, congresswoman from New York, Republican. Joe Biden is clear and present threat to democracy. Anyway, that's where we're at, guys. George Soros' son, Soros Jr., says you can always call Trump a convicted felon. You should always call him at every single opportunity. So here's my questions for you. I mentioned the first couple of them. The other ones are, do you think what did you think of when you saw Biden have that huge, massive, evil grin as he was asked about Trump, saying he's a political prisoner? And how did Biden come across in his response today in his speech to you when he talked about Trump and then Soros? What do you think about him saying you should always call Trump a convicted felon? Do you think this tactic will work? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Brian in Wilmer, you're on 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've done a lot of thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
President Trump is my hero. He's the greatest president we've ever had, in my opinion. If me or you were convicted of 34 felonies,
mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are, we're going to go to jail, and they're not going to make it. They finally got him where they want him. They're not going to let him go. They're going to put him in a position where he can't campaign, and they want a picture of him in an orange jumpsuit. They're going to do all that because they are evil, and they have got him in a position now where they got a judge who's going to make a decision, and I hope I'm wrong, but
you think he's going to sentence? He's going to jail?
I think he's going to go to jail. Yeah, they've got him. Then what happens if he's in jail when the convention comes up? What are the Republicans going to do? I mean, they're going to.
Well, Trump controls the Republican Party now, which is good. So he's a master at these things, including how to handle things in publicity. So, what? I mean, I think he will turn lemons into lemonade. I think that's what he's going to do.
He's always done that.
It might be better for them to put him in jail for him to win. All right. I got to roll, but I appreciate your great call. Teresa and Coppell, you're on 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Teresa.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You said something about how do you feel about after Biden made his speech? Well, his speech was just a joke because he's talking about the rule of law, which did not occur with the case, obviously. So that was just laughable, everything that he said there. That was pathetic. And like you said, Trump is a master. He has been handling this amazingly through all of it. He has been beaten down like crazy, yet he still comes out punching, So kudos to him, and my prayers are with him, that is for sure, because he is going through a very dark night right now, and so is our country. So I think, and the truth always comes out eventually.
Yes.
So hopefully the truth will come out here, and everything will be shown.
Unfortunately, the truth always comes out late, after it's too late.
Well, not necessarily. So I'm praying for the truth to come out. And here is a challenge to you. We need to somehow rally people who support Trump and are against the weaponization of our judicial system, et cetera. So what can we do? What can you create so that we can all participate with this? I got online and donated today, and every time there is a major event such as what the sentencing, et cetera, I will get online and donate just to say this is wrong. But what else? Use your creative mind and come up with something that you can do because you have a platform that all of us can somehow. A friend of mine
asked me, and he's listening right now. He asked me if I knew of any rally or anything, and if I was going to do anything. I don't. But I'll be happy to talk with my boss about it and see what kind of things. I can tell you I'd like to do things, but I'll hold until I talk to him because he gets the final decision on things, not me, because I work for them. So I would like to do something big, but but my boss is calling the shots. Right.
So,
I do have a platform, and I would love. Let me tell you something.
I would love to contribute.
I would love for that too, but I will ask directly. I promise you. Okay.
That would be awesome.
That would be huge. I'm all about things like that. Appreciate it. If not, I would love to support something that does, but I'll ask, and I appreciate you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, Teresa. One line is open, 800-288-WBAP. Now 2 lines are open, 800-288-9227. James in Dallas, John in Grapevine, Paul in Fort Worth. You guys are next. We're going to go bang, bang, bang up next on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. All right, I still have no power, and I'm not alone. There's 100,000 people, at least. And we're going to talk to Oncor, a spokesperson. I really liked this guy a lot because we talked on and off for a while today. And he sent me, I also wanted to do something. I was thinking how fascinating it would be to see what kind of outfits they have to wear and how dangerous their work is. You can die if you mess up. And I knew it. I was right. It's like being a cop. If you're complacent one time out of your 12 years of working there, or 20 years, one time you can get killed. Same thing with a cop. Isn't that amazing? So everything's normal and boring, and the training is like overly protective and stupid. But then if you miss one step because you're like, oh, that's so stupid, of course I did that, and you're dead. So I can't wait to hear about that and the science of it. You know what I mean? He's got a great story about a squirrel and a hawk and power lines. Yeah, it's going to be great. All right, all that coming up next to the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM. Let's go right to your calls. Let's go to James in Dallas. You're on WBAP. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for taking my call, Chris.
Welcome. Thank you.
I've got a little bit of ground to cover, and I'll do it as quickly as I can, hopefully.
Quick.
Okay, so for Biden, we all know he's a lying, corrupt, racist, always has been. He gaslights the country, and too many people buy that. But this goes all the way back to 2016. Hillary lost, and they cheated in 2016 like they always do. They underestimated how many votes they needed. They underestimated Trump's popularity. He won. It shocked them. They didn't have a backup plan. So you knew in 2020 they'd have a backup plan. They had a backup plan. They did it.
Right.
It's been allowed. And now we come to 2024. This whole fiasco with Trump is nothing more than a smokescreen, so that when they rig the election in this year as well, it'll be easier for them to say too many people decided not to vote for a felon. So it'll be easier for them to pass that. And it's disgusting.
Look at the shiny lure, this convicted felon, and don't look at my failures and disasters and wars.
Absolutely.
And inflation,
The corrupt left will not give up their stolen power.
Will it work, though? Is he going to jail, and will it work?
I think it will work, and I think it'll work regardless. And when I say I think it'll work, Trump could get 90% of all the votes in reality, but he'll still lose because they'll rig it to the point of where I hate to be so negative about it, but there's too much evidence showing that the corruption has been allowed. The rigging of 2020 was allowed.
I got to roll, but I hope you're wrong. Okay. I hope you're wrong.
I'm wrong, too. I hope I'm wrong.
Because if you're right, then the country's doomed.
Absolutely.
Got to go. Great call. John in Grapevine, you're on 820 AM and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hi, John.
Good evening. I appreciate you taking my call.
Thank you.
You dismissed me when I told you that Donald Trump would be convicted. I'm going to tell you that they want him, and this judge wants him in jail. And after watching a program tonight, I am thoroughly convinced that they went into Mar-a-Lago to seize those federal documents. They went in there with the intent to assassinate him. If he goes into jail, I do not believe he'll come out alive. I know
if any inmate gets a chance, that the ones who will do it to a regular dude would love to do it to Trump. I think you're right. But the Secret Service will have to be in charge of his security, and I've always said they're going to have to take over a wing of the jail. It just wouldn't be feasible, I think. But I appreciate your call, and I hope you're wrong. I did say in the 24 to 48 hours before the jury conviction that I did think he was going to get convicted those last 24 hours. But I appreciate your call. Paul in Fort Worth, you're on 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP.
Yes. According to the theory of due process, Trump is not actually convicted until the appeals process plays out.
Yeah.
And, he needs to play on that because right now claiming he's convicted is really a false statement. And
I disagree, not about Trump, but anybody. You're convicted, you're convicted. But if it's overturned on appeal, then it's overturned on an appeal.
Right. That means that the conviction was wrong. It was false.
Right. Go ahead. What's your next point? What's your next point, sir? You think he's going to jail?
I don't think he's going to go to jail. I know that judge would love to put him in jail and everything like that, but I think he'd catch so much backlash off of that. And the American people aren't that stupid. They've been watching this play out for
I don't know. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
They could be that stupid, and if they are, we don't realize that how it's just going to keep going this way.
It's the cheating and rigging in the election that we got to watch out for. Well,
you do think this is Biden rigging it with the justice system, right? Though.
Yeah,
that's cheating and rigging there too. It's on every angle because they have to. I think it wouldn't cheat as this boldly and openly and as much all over the place if it wasn't for their president being so incompetent. With inflation, wars falling on the ground a lot, and just being so old and horrible. Appreciate your call. Let's do this. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Oncor. One of their spokespersons, Andy Morgan from Oncor, great guy, and we're going to ask him, of course, why all of our power is still out for 100 or more people here, and then we're going to get into why the top 3 reasons why we have power outages, and it's not going to be them. Just going to give you a hint, you might get mad, but I'm not mad at them still at this moment. Oh gosh! And then after that, we're going to take your calls, and I'm going to play you some audio of a lady who is attacking Oncor on a WFA TV Channel 8 piece. I've got audio, and I'm going to be direct with you here. I'm going to pick on this woman. It's going to be fun, and I'll tell you why. And maybe I'm wrong. You might say, Chris, you're wrong. But she decided to go public and go after them, and I think she's way off base. We'll do that afterwards. But Oncor next, and you're going to hear about the science behind the workers' protection suits and protecting themselves and how deadly they do what they do. I mean, it's deadly. It's a serious line of work. That's next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. Well, there's a lot of people that are mad at Oncor. I have become frustrated, but I've never been mad at them in this, and I would be. I mean, dude, I have every reason to be. I myself am in a hotel still, and I have good reason to believe that I probably won't be back in my home until at least tomorrow by the afternoon. It's possible I could even be back on Sunday, not even tomorrow. I don't know. But the reason I haven't been frustrated is because I understand why these power outages happen, and you're about to learn why from Oncor themselves. There are people that work there, and there are people that are willing to come on and talk to us, even when we might be mad and want to chase after them with rocks and stones, and like a third world country or something, yell at them, hunt them down. But I also was fascinated about the science of the danger of what they do and the science of it. Like, do you understand how? Could you imagine working a job that's simple yet deadly? And therefore you cannot, maybe it's not simple, we're going to find out, but you literally could die if you mess up once. This isn't working at some, regular place. You can just go on autopilot. You can die if you go on autopilot. So let's talk to Andy Morgan from Oncor, who we talked before the show, and he really was a lot of fun to chat with and go back and forth with. Andy, thanks for coming on tonight on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Chris Crock Show. Hey, Andy.
Happy Friday evening.
Yes, you too, brother. Hey, by the way, I want everybody to know, because you and I are both at hotels. You're like, I lost my power too. I'm at a hotel too. So, like, you can work for Oncor. Doesn't mean you're going to have power, right?
Hey, exactly.
That's almost fun. Isn't it almost really kind of funny? Like, you're like, hey, I have no power. I work there.
Well, I picked a neighborhood with a lot of trees to live in.
Which is beautiful. So, I mean, You know what I mean? When you have a lot of trees, it's beautiful. But talk to me. What is the top I'll just throw out like top 3 reasons. What's the number one reason for power outages in DFW, regardless of whether it's winter, summer, or anything? Go ahead.
Oh, it's tree limbs, trees that fall out, they get uprooted. I mean, with heavy rain, with wind, the ground is saturated. So sometimes the trees fall over. We saw winds Tuesday morning up to 90 miles an hour in some areas of Dallas. I mean, I think the lowest was like 60 miles an hour. So there are branches flying around. And what happens, they fall into our power lines. They fall onto the power poles. The wind breaks the poles. And then that's when you start having these huge numbers of power outages like we saw on Tuesday. 650,000 people were that.
I know. That was unbelievable. So here's the thing. I mean, a Category 1 hurricane is what, 70 or 80 miles an hour sustained?
I believe so, yeah.
So we almost hit Category 2 hurricane status. And do you know offhand how long the sustained winds were blowing? Like, was it 20 minutes an hour? It was insane.
Yeah, I think it was around the 20 to 30 minute mark.
So, I mean, how could you expect trees to not have issues? But the other thing is, there was a woman who's real sweet. She called in earlier this week, and within a few days of this, and she was like, "I don't mean to offend anybody. I came here from the U.S. or from Scotland or something a long time ago, maybe 5-10 years ago. But why is my power net back on?" And I explained to her, I'm like, "Ma'am, the number one reason for power outages here is trees." And I said, if you drive around your neighborhood, I guarantee you'll find 5 or 10 yards within a few blocks or so of your house where people have trees overhanging the power lines. And I said, Oncor cannot possibly keep track of 50 million trees or whatever it is in the Metroplex. So therefore, they rely on, it's on you, the homeowner. And I said, there was a woman who climbed up in a tree, a nutball lady, a crazy lady who was older, and she was like, had a BB gun and climbed up at a tree. Was it in Lakewood?
Yeah, it was in Lakewood.
Yeah, she was in the news. I went to town on that woman. I said they need to tase that woman and drag her down and cuff her. She's threatening to shoot Oncor people. Granted, it was with a BB gun, but that's still assault or whatever. So I'm like, she's the reason why. And the other people that don't pay attention to their property, I called you guys, and of course it's Oncor, so you're going to have to call a bunch of times because you're not always going to get the result you want. It's just because you're a massive company. I'm not ripping on you, I'm just saying, but in my humble opinion. But I called a bunch of times over 2, 3, 4 months. Eventually you came. This was 3, 4 years ago. It was not even time to worry about it, but I'm like, I saw it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get a free tree trim that you only do the area where the power line is. And I know some people say you butcher it, but I don't care. I'm like, I don't have to deal with that for years. So, and eventually you came over and you did it for free because you do the areas around the wires, right?
Right.
How many feet?
Well, usually I think it's 10 feet sort of in, but if your tree's coming up under, then we kind of have to do a V.
I love that. I love those. I'm like, what idiot, I'm not talking about you guys, but what idiot planted a freaking tree under a power line? The Einstein Award. What are you? Don't. I'm not talking to you, Ray. What are you, stupid? Planting a tree under a power line? You want to die?
Well, yeah, there are better places to plant.
I mean, I love those trees. I'm like, I look at that and I see. Now, it might not be the homeowner. It might be the previous homeowners or whatever. I'm like, that's an idiot right there. Sorry. Go. Anyways, I know you don't think that. That's just me. But what are the other 2 top reasons for? By the way, you have to admit, you guys cannot keep track of, what is it, 50 million trees in the Metroplex, 100 million trees that are all over?
So at least, yeah. And our territory runs from Midland, Odessa, all the way to Nacogdoches in East Texas. So,
you guys go to freaking Midland, Odessa?
Yes, yeah. We're the largest transmission and distribution company in the state. It's
how many people?
Spread out. We have 4 million, just over 4 million customers now.
Okay, so how many in DFW?
That is a great question. I can't.
Okay,
answer.
But it's probably the overwhelming lion's share. We have 8 million people here, but the amount of homes we have here is probably, I don't know what, 2 to 4 million. I don't know how many homes. Because you can have 5, 10 people in a house. So right. 4 people. Okay, so the next question is, what are the other top 2 reasons why we have power outages? If you know the other 2.
Wind is another reason why. I mean, we have lots of high winds in Texas and this part of the country, and they can blow over poles, they can knock wires down, And again, but what happens is the trees are the number one reason. And then you mentioned winter. In the winter, when we have ice storms, it
weighs down the lines.
Weighs down the lines. I mean, just a quarter inch of ice on tree limbs. I forget, something like adds X percent more weight to that tree, and they come down. So those are the main reasons.
Okay. And then the other thing I want to talk to you about, and I know we talked a little bit, I mentioned what I want to talk to you about. I think the next thing is the line guys, if I'm not missing something else. And the line guys, I literally was talking to my dad about this, and I said, those guys have got to be like cops, because it's got to be like, okay, you have to be vigilant, because the one time in 10, 20 years of doing your job, the one time you're complacent, the one time a cop doesn't look at somebody, gives them an extra second or two, and they get out of the car and look like they're doing something bad, is the one time that something bad happens. And for the line guy, I think the one time they do, they might be so annoyed, like, this training is so stupid, it's so basic, I'm not dumb. Yeah, but if you don't follow the training, you could die, I'm thinking. And then I'm also thinking, like, here's how they train you, and the person going, yeah, did you do your 3 steps? Yeah, that's ridiculous. And then he just reaches over and touches because he didn't do the 3 steps. What is the training? And tell me about the outfits they wear that keep them safe. It's fascinating to me.
Sure. I just want to say one thing, Chris. I know people are frustrated and aggravated with Oncor, just with the situation, but the linemen, we've had, right now we've got like 12,000 field personnel in our service territory trying to get power back on for everyone who's been affected. So we've gone from 650,000 people without service to right now, from that Tuesday storm, we're down to less than 35,000.
Really? You went from 100,000 when we talked earlier to about 35?
Yeah. When I talked to you this afternoon, I think we were at like 100,000, and now we're down below 30. These are people who have been out of power since Tuesday. But we feel for them. We understand they're frustrated. It's maddening not to have power because you're so used to electricity.
Right.
So, but I want to give credit to our linemen. These guys, they work 16 hours, they take off 8, then they work another 16. And when those guys aren't working, there's another group of 16-hour guys out there working. So
they don't cut the trees, the linemen. They only do the lines. Tree people are separate that you have, right?
So the process is we send a guy out to evaluate the situation. Usually then the tree trimming people, or what we fancy term is vegetation management. Mm-hmm. And then we send construction and linemen. And the construction people are putting up new poles, putting up new cross arms, and the linemen are coming up and stringing the wire, putting up new transformers. So it's a whole process. But like we talked about earlier, we have to get the trees cleaned up, get the debris out of the way to make it safe for the linemen.
Why is it still, you said 65,000 still have no power?
Total about 65,000.
Why do those people?
Those are from Tuesday, half are from yesterday.
Oh, really? What was yesterday? Just the rain?
Yeah. What happened was, yesterday morning we had heavy winds and heavy rain. We had flooding that caused access problems, and so then we had another blast this morning.
Can they even work in the rain?
Yes, they can work in the rain as long as it's not too heavy and it's not too windy.
Are they like doing things where they're not even touching the electricity and connecting? They're just laying out lines and getting it ready and then hoisting it up after the rain stops? Like, how does that work?
They do some of that. They may, if it involves putting the transformer on the pole, they're not involved with the lines. But the number one priority for Oncor is safety. I mean, customers are also a priority, but safety has to be, because these are dangerous jobs. And, it takes, like you asked about the training, it takes about 4 years to be what we call a journeyman lineman. That's a full-fledged lineman. Still not an experienced lineman. We have guys who have 20, 30, 40 years out there.
Wow.
And so there's a process. They go through an apprentice process, and they learn about safety. They learn about the clothing they have to wear, and every detail of that job. And like you said, you cannot ever be complacent. And so it's just, there's a constant, watch about safety.
So I'm sure you share publicly if somebody does, God forbid, pass. We saw somebody pass recently this past week or so, but it was it was not one of your employees. It was just a tree guy who may have used some poor judgment in trimming trees near a power line.
Right.
But when's the last time you guys lost somebody through their work?
It's been several years.
Thank goodness.
I don't know the exact, but yeah, it's just not great. And talking about the safety, I mean, you have safety meetings at least once a week. They go through safety training. Cumulatively, adds up to about a week a year. They are just constantly being bombarded with safety messaging. And we even do these safety observations when they're on the job. So the supervisor or crew foreman, he's going to watch to make sure you're doing that process the right way.
So I posted this up, and you gave me their uniforms. It's 25 pounds total with all the gear?
Yeah, or it can be more. I mean, if it,
I see the pants are 4 pounds.
Yeah. So our guys start with they wear what's called FR clothing, or flame resistant and arc rated clothing.
Okay.
Just in case there's an accident.
By the way, I'm sorry, they're not rubber pants. They're rubber sleeves. They're 4 pounds. I apologize. Go ahead, though. I apologize.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
they have the rubber sleeves they put on. They have a shield. They have a hard hat. All this stuff is FR rated, arc rated, and it can get up to 40 pounds, depending if it's especially in the winter.
That's crazy.
They have because they're out in all kinds of weather.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an amazing group of folks, and most of them are men, but we do have a few women who do it. In fact, I think the first female lineman in the country was an Oncor.
Nice.
It is an Oncor employee. She's been with us for 50 years.
Wow. What's this neck thing? What the heck is a head sock for? Does that stop them from getting electrocuted somehow, or what? I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, exactly. The head sock is both to keep you warm in the winter, but also to prevent if there's an arc flash. Keeps you from getting burned.
My gosh. Okay, now tell me this story before we let you go about the hawk and the just go through this story with the. This is crazy. This is hysterical. I mean, so go ahead. Tell me what happens.
Well, so the main thing with electricity, very basically, electricity is like looking for the fastest, easiest way to get to ground. And so we had an outage. Something tripped a fuse. A lineman, this was a few years ago, a lineman went out, reset the fuse, and when he was up to the bucket and on the pole, there was a squirrel, dead squirrel. And he thought, somehow the squirrel got electrocuted. It somehow made contact with ground. And he said, it's lunchtime, let's go to lunch. He closed that job out. While he's at lunch, he gets a call and says, hey, can you go back out to that same location? The power's off again. So he goes back out there and goes up. And before he goes up in the bucket, he sees the squirrel on the ground, and next to it is a dead hawk.
So like a hawk.
To get the squirrel, also got electrocuted, and they both fell on the ground.
So the squirrel goes up there, and it gets zapped, and it dies. It's lying on the transformer or whatever it's called. And then the hawk sees the squirrel and says, I'm hungry, goes on the squirrel, and then gets fried.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're both sitting next to each other on the ground. That's insane.
Yeah,
I'm going to guess it was a red. I'm going to guess it's a red-tailed hawk because you see those a lot around here. But who knows? But nobody wants to see that happen. But dang, that's a big creature. Randy, thank you. Or Andy, I'm sorry. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your willingness to come on. We're at separate hotels, but we're probably as the crow flies a mile from each other, if not even less. It's funny. Yeah. So I told you. I'll tell you off the air. I told you off the air. I'll tell you again on the air that I'm glad to know. I don't want you to be suffering too, or be in a hotel too. But I'm glad. It's good to know that Oncor people are in hotels too because they have no power, just like I am. So they thank you for coming on, and do thank the guys. I still am not mad at you guys, and I understand. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you. All right, take care. All right, there we go. So coming up next, we're going to get back. We're going to get into this lady who's complaining and attacking Oncor. That's next. There's a woman who was on WFA TV Channel 8 today, and she is very angry because she and 4 other houses around her do not have power. And she claims that she should have she has extra importance and extra urgency because about a year ago she had cancer treatments. And she says that now she's undergoing therapy, I guess physical therapy, from WFAA TV Channel 8 is what they say. And she is therefore seemingly like more of an urgency. But I don't think physical therapy from cancer that you recovered from a year ago is, I'm not trying to be, mean or rude, but I think, and you're going to hear her whining. Did I say whining? Yeah, you're going to hear her whining about this situation in a second. I'll play it for you coming up next. But whether you are going through physical therapy from cancer a year ago, recovery from a year ago, or whatever, you're no different. I mean, you're not on a ventilator. And it's also, they are definitely not hurting for money. Their house is probably worth twice of the average home, or maybe 3 times the average home in DFW. So I'm kind of like, no, you can go to I'm in a very nice hotel, and you can get, there's about 1 notch more you might be able to find around Dallas for sure, like a 5-star. And I'm sorry, you could afford to go to one of those the whole time, probably get a suite. So I'm not buying it. But we're going to play her, and we're going to hear if you agree that she is a victim in this, and or is this just a first world problem? All right. Do you believe they're suffering in this house, or do you believe it's a first world problem? All that coming up next in the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3.